Hey, Gamer Dad entrepreneurs, welcome to episode 35 of the Daily Level Up Show. I'm your host, Roosevelt Cooper, and in today's episode, I'm going to give you a campaign diary of the most recent adventure that I've ran for my D&D group. So I run a D&D group online through the Patreon's Discord server of DMDave. If you are a dungeon master, you might be familiar with DMDave. He is one of the most prolific Dungeons and Dragons, well, not even just Dungeons and Dragons now, just for numerous different systems now, but he's one of the most prolific writers of adventure content that's on the internet today. He can put out tons of content over the course of a month. And I'm very grateful for him because I literally just take his content and can run it for many of my games that I want to run. So my particular group, I actually run it as a part of DMDave's server, his Discord server, and the members of this group are all Patreons like myself. And we have a regular group that we run with. It's 6 of us in total. I am the dungeon master, and then we have 5 players. And we basically are running different DMDave adventures. And so this past session, we ran an adventure called OwlBear Wood. I actually also ran this same adventure at the gaming convention, the Long Island Tabletop Gaming Convention. I ran the same adventure at the convention on the day one, and it was fun. Had a great time. But when I ran the adventure in the group, I actually did the adventure wrong. So with most adventures, it's basically you have scene 1, scene 2, so on and so forth, and it basically runs in a linear fashion. However, with this particular adventure, it was actually designed differently. And to my error, I did not read thoroughly through the adventure to see this. And actually, it's funny because Matt Coville, another prolific provider for tabletop RPG content and Dungeons and Dragons, he actually just did a video on his YouTube channel. I'll post a link to the video. And in his video, he talked about an old adventure. It was actually the first adventure that he ever played as a player in Dungeons and Dragons. And in this adventure, he was reading it, and there was a whole section about how the adventure should be ran that he would never even was aware that the session existed. So it was funny because that's pretty much what happened with me with the DMDave adventure that I ran. So with this particular adventure, what happens during the adventure is based in large part on how the party does with its survival checks, which is a pretty cool concept, particularly if you have a ranger in the group, because now you actually, one of the big complaints with Dungeons and Dragons is the ranger feels underpowered. And I don't think it's so much that the ranger is actually underpowered. I think it's on us as dungeon masters to create adventures that utilize the strength and the unique abilities of the different characters in the party so that those characters can have an opportunity to shine. So for instance, if you have a ranger in the party, then on some of the adventures, you want to create opportunities where the ranger gets to use his or her or their unique abilities so that they can have an opportunity to shine, just like a fighter might have opportunity to shine during the combat. So in this particular adventure, what happens in terms of how they're navigating through the wood is based upon how they do on their survival checks. And I wasn't running it like that way because I didn't read through the whole module. I just skimmed through it. and I was just basically running it linear. So I didn't realize my mistake until we were already 2 sessions in. So once we had the session last night, then I ran it the proper way, and they actually did have a very high survival check. So as a result, they were able to directly go straight to the cave where the OwlBears were. And then they were able to defeat the OwlBears and complete the adventure. So it was a lot of fun, but just goes to show you, as a dungeon master, if you are running pre-provided content, make sure you take the time to read the entire content completely. Don't just skim through and think, oh, I know what this says, because you might be missing out on a major piece that you may need to be aware of when you run the adventure. And the thing is, you could still do it the way you were going to do it, but you at least want to be aware of that major piece so that you at least know that you are deviating. So there was nothing preventing me from just continue to go scene by scene if I wanted to. But the fact that I was not aware that the adventure was designed differently, I was making that decision out of ignorance as opposed to making that decision based upon a conscious decision to run the adventure differently. So in any case, we still had a lot of fun. We're going to be running something else now. There's actually an adventure that we really want to run, but we're still waiting for the DMDave team to finish creating the content for it, particularly for the Foundry, which is the tabletop simulator that we use to run our games. So we're waiting for that content to get developed, and then once that content is developed, then we're going to run that particular adventure. It's called Hand of the Eight. So we're really looking forward to running that. But in the meantime, we just have plenty of other DMDave adventures that we're going to be running. So we got a whole new one called Enter Sandman, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to get into that. I will post a link to DMDave's Patreon as well, in case you're interested as a dungeon master in purchasing some adventures, or if you're like me as well and you play tabletop role-playing games solo by yourself without a dungeon master, you may want to buy adventures as well, because then you can run through those adventures solo. So that might be another option for you as well. All right, so hopefully you got some value out of that. If you are a dungeon master, I will see you tomorrow in our next episode of the Daily Level Up Show. Take care.